It's
Welcome
fun.
to The Collective, where every conversation ignites a new perspective. Join us as we delve into the journeys of remarkable individuals, explore the art of growth, resilience, and the power of a shared mission as we strive to be better together.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Collective. This is day one of year 4 now. That's pretty cool, I gotta say, if I'm gonna say myself. And while that is pretty cool, I hope you guys are doing the things like the show, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, do all the good stuff, get your emails when we go live, which is of course Fridays for The Collective and Wednesdays for the workshop now, which is we got a bunch of changes going on here all at once. And I'm pretty stoked for it. So make sure that you guys are signing up for the Reinforcement Loop. That is our weekly newsletter. Goes out every week, and you get your information on the collective as well as some brain candy to chew on from Shaun. Other than that, Shaun, man, it's been a while since we've had a live show. How's it been? How's life out in the mountains now?
Yeah, good. Yeah, doing good. Good to be back home. Not good to be back to the cold weather though. I'm missing my mango sticky rice. That's all I gotta say.
Well, you know, I think that's a good thing though. Like to come home and realize, to remember all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, right, 3 feet of snow and minus 20.
No, as I was shoveling the driveway, I was like, nope.
I gotta ask you, because it clicked into my brain this week, or not this week, but this last couple of months. I kind of want to get a snowblower. Like, I have a driveway big enough now that I'm like,
oh yeah,
shoveling's good for the boys, and it's great to like teach.
Oh yeah,
get them out there.
It is,
man.
But now both of our boys are gone.
Yeah, and
it's down to me, and I don't like it at all. All my neighbors have got them, and they've got the freaking Lamborghinis and the Ferrari snow blowers, and all the stuff. I've got literally nothing.
I can't even imagine
It's actually got a crack in it. It's all janky. The jankified ones.
Yeah. Just let me ask you this then. Are you a bladed shovel person, or are you just like a plastic shovel?
Nah, bladed.
Oh, see, I'm a plastic shovel guy. I don't like the blades. They stick too often and it just drives me nuts. So,
yeah, but to your point, I don't want to spend anything. But I don't know. I got to do something about this whole snow situation. It's not good.
I'm looking forward to the research process, as it is going to be very similar to your camera process. So it'll be probably 2 or 3 seasons before you see.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like my first time that I've ever looked at them. I mean, I've looked at them in the past, and every year that I've looked at them, I've thought, you know what? That's a lot of money. That's usually where it all goes wrong for me.
Mm-hmm. And then maintenance and gas and oil and all these other things and all the little ancillary stuff that
that's true.
Forget about on a regular basis.
Yeah, and our forefathers, I mean, like the caveman, he was shoveling the driveway till he was well into his 70s. So why can't I?
I mean, we don't really have to anymore, I think, is the key point to this. So I do want a quick little comment here from Nancy. He jumped in. Good morning. Happy New Year, gentlemen. 2026 has started with a bang and needs a good ass kicking. It does indeed.
It does.
I want to hear about the trip. So get ready, because you're going to be talking a lot. I'm going to be asking all kinds of questions.
I already said I'm super jet lagged.
And I'm coming after you.
I'm looking at myself. I'm almost cross-eyed.
Almost, but not quite yet. I'm super sleep deprived as well, so it's going to be probably a giggly episode.
What's your major malfunction? What's with your sleep pattern?
So my back's been jacked up. So
oh no, not again.
Still, not just again. Still, it hasn't gotten better. And I went through a very massive depressive episode. Which I was actually just telling Sam that cop shop. That is probably, if not the worst, it's in my top 3 of the darkest depressions that I've had. So,
did you get a medal?
No one gave me a medal at all.
Well, I'm giving you one right now, but a bronze. Don't get all excited.
But yeah, it just been probably about three days now since it hit like the deepest point of it, and I'm just starting to climb out of the hole right now. So my sleep is with the pain and the depression and the holidays and all that stuff, everything's kind of piled on
weakness
and weakness, general weakness, yeah.
weakness.
And so it's been a rough few weeks for me, but that's why my sleep is jacked, is because I'm all over and my patterns are off and I don't sleep well, and then my back hurts and it goes back and forth. So,
well, like last time you and I talked, you were in the hurt locker then, and I was doing my level best to mock and tease you, and drag you back into the land of awesomeness, and so I knew that you'd still be in it, so I kind of let you be there for a little bit, to wallow in your own misery, or
which
whatever.
was very helpful, actually.
Yeah,
So
I know sometimes it can be.
I basically turned pretty much everything off, and I just went back to the basics. I hung out with my boys, and I did things that I enjoyed. I played some video games. I played some music. I tried to do things that I knew were my my non-negotiable things, that I just would enjoy regardless. And
friggin' outstanding.
And because I couldn't do jujitsu, this is something I learned.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
which is new to me now, is that I don't have that as an outlet anymore. Right. So now I need to find a way to manage these situations, these depressive episodes, without jujitsu.
Yeah,
because I've been using it as a crutch to kind of keep me rolling through those periods.
Makes sense.
But great little tidbit for me now. I get to study and figure out ways to do that better, so that I'm not
curious.
Yep.
Nerd, read the games that you were playing. What were you into this Christmas?
So I've been playing Rome 2, Total War Rome 2. So and this is something that I looked at, and then also Zelda was another one that I've been playing.
Okay.
Tears of the Kingdom, for anybody that is wondering, but
nobody was.
So the point that I found in this is that you and I had this discussion a number of years ago, was that I would play video games to relax, but I wouldn't play games that were relaxing.
Oh yeah, right.
High stress, high processing, lots of movement, lots of things. Whereas what I found now, especially with turn-based strategy games, is that because there's no timeline, there's no, I can process at a slower rate. I don't have to make big decisions really fast. So I find it quite helpful because it's strategic and not time sensitive.
Yeah. And there's, from a kind of a cognitive perspective, there's a bunch of things there that are really kind of positive for you when it's turn-based or roll turn-based versus, first shooter or whatever. So yeah, I can see it being kind of helpful.
And one of my challenges was that when I would try to do some work, I would start going into a depressive cycle, or a death spiral, basically, of just like, oh my God, now I got timings and I got to get this out and then I got to delete, and I would knock myself back a number of things. So I took a breath and I was like, well, the internet can wait, and gave myself some space and some time, and I'm feeling better for it now, because I hit some pretty dark periods over the last couple of weeks. So it's good to be back and on the upslope. But
well, of course, I'm writing this freaking Freakazoid book, and I needed that on my vacation. I so didn't. And
you brought it with you on your vacation.
Yeah, and so parts of the book, the back end of the book, there's parts of it that I'm referring to you, like not by name, not by, specifics, just, you're in my thoughts as I was writing it on a particular subject, just like, a bunch of my bro images are throughout the book. They'll be kind of almost like an avatar for a particular topic or a particular velocity or tangent or angle or whatever the case is. And so, you've been in my head on the back end here a little bit for sure.
I've been in your head. It's a good place to be. Couple of comments. Tyler jumped in here. Tyler Pelkin, good to see you, Jens. Good to see you, buddy. And then Sale MKR RTS is where it's at for me. Age of Empires 3. Age is a good game, man. After 2, I got a little bit lost. There's too much stuff to do in those ones, but good one. I think pretty sure that's Chris Williams. That's exactly what it is. Nice to see you, buddy. But do tell me about the trip, because you were in Vietnam. You did you got to hang out with Alan Shabaro for a while. You traveled all over the place. You got some food sicknesses or some stomach bugs and some food poisoning in Japan and your kids and all the
All the
things.
stuff.
So let's hear about it. I want to hear about what
Yeah.
give me an overview of Vietnam. How about that?
Sure. So we've been there before once, and that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, when your kids were little, right?
That's right. That's right. And so we went, to some of the same places again, not because we wanted to repeat, but that's just the way it is. And so last time we were there for 6 weeks. This time we were there for 6 weeks. And so we spent more time in the South on this trip than we did on the first one. But our overall plan was supposed to revolve around Doreen's running race.
Right.
And just about 2 or 3 days before the race, Vietnam just got slammed with a bunch of rain. And so basically, like, bridges were being washed out and roads were being washed out and buses were tumbling and the whole thing. And so, like, that was all occurring where Doreen's running race was supposed to be. And it was already going to be, not like terribly challenging, but it wasn't going to be friction free to get there because it was out in the boonies. And so, with the storms going on and all the warnings, basically the race got canceled. And then Doreen and I looked at each other and said, okay, well, now what? So we pivoted really quickly and changed all of our plans over the course of less than 24 hours and redirected ourselves up to Hanoi in the north and then out into the mountains, kind of northern Vietnam. So, yeah.
Super, super cool to go see. I would love to be down there. I've done a lot of, I can't say a lot of research, but I've read up quite extensively on Vietnam, especially the conflicts in the area. Actually, on my bookshelf, I have the complete history of Vietnam. It's
nice.
And I would love to go down there. I really want to go see Hue. I think that would be a really cool city to actually wander around, and lots of history.
We saw that we spent a week in Hue on our first trip. Yeah. And like the royal, some of the large sort of not moat or castle like, but some of the kind of history there is pretty freaking fascinating. So yeah, mega.
It's one of the I've talked to some Vietnam veterans, and I've always said that probably the jungle is the one place I would not want to fight outside of a urban environment. That, like, the desert sucked and all that, but the jungle, like, it eats you. It eats your clothes. It eats your stuff. You're fighting the jungle itself and then fighting people as well. And that just does not seem like a fun place to.
Well, what's even less fun is we're down Cu Chi tunnels. And so kind of like that whole tunnel rat thing, got into the tunnel network system, worked our way through the tunnels, and it's tight down there and it's hot and it's humid and it sucks. But people were living down there for years. And so, coming out of one of those little manholes, kind of crawling my way out, as I popped my head out, looking maybe not even 100 feet in front of me, bam, there was the jungle. And so I'm not sure which one I would have least preferred to have been in, the jungle or the tunnel systems, both kind of tough.
But on a more wonderful note, rather than the horrificness of the war in Vietnam, what was Alan Shabaro like? You were hanging out with him you saw him twice, right?
Twice, that's right. Yeah.
How was that?
That was good. I mean, the moment we shook hands and gave the big huggy McHugs, it was just like I'd known him for ages. And we hung out, of course, talked about all kinds of things, and saw eye to eye on pretty much everything, had a bunch of laughs. Were surprised on some of the really tight commonalities that we both had. Yeah, just an all-around great guy, and was looking forward to seeing him that second time around, of course, and we managed to pull that together. And yeah, just cool to hang out with him. got a great energy, and you know, but I loved hanging out with him. That's all I got to say on that.
He's such a good dude, and I'm gonna get him back on the show very soon because he needs to be back on here. It's been a while. Quick comment from Dave, jumped in here. Good day, gents. Happy New Year, you both. Good to see you, Dave. He actually put a comment on on one of the posts we put out this morning about the vet photo contest, which
Oh yeah,
you got to figure out for this month as well at some point, and keep that moving down the road. Now, I want to ask you this question about. I'm going to ask you this multiple times, but specifically Vietnam. What do you think either changed or you think you learned from this latest visit to there versus the first visit, perhaps? But what do you think you picked up out of this last one?
Well, the country's changed over the last 20 years, and that was noticeable across a bunch of different kind of aspects of the country, be it either the people or the economics or the culture or the general vibe, I'll call it. So that had changed to some degree. And I think maybe the thing that struck me the most was it's become quite a popular destination now. Maybe I'm not sure if it's number one in the world right now for tourist destination, but because of the price that you'll pay for a meal or for a hotel or whatever the case is, it's really quite affordable. We were eating meals for like $2-3, maybe $4 for a meal, and I mean legit meals, not lame, for $2. And so, really affordable, lots of tourists going there. And that has changed the vibe of the country as a whole because, there's packs of tourists that all get off a bus. They all travel together, that they're all like culturally insensitive to how other people work. And so like, there can be a bit of frustration from the what I would call almost bordering on over tourism right now. And that's something that Japan is also suffering with during our 3 weeks there. It's kind of fairly well known now that Japan's pushing back a little bit in respect to tourism because tourists are kind of jerks over there compared to how Japanese culture likes to operate, which is more toned down and wearing black a lot and just like not making a lot of noise and not being a goof. And so like there's some tourists will come in there and they're a handful, and so it's kind of giving it a bad name for tourism. And so Japan is pushing back, not maybe as a whole, but generally speaking, they're making waves in respect to tourism. So it's one of those things.
It is. It reminds me of Banff. And
Yeah,
like
right.
Banff and Jasper, and like they just become these tourist magnets, and then you have people outside on the side of the road trying to pet a grizzly bear, and you're like,
that's right.
What are you doing? But they just don't know. And I think that's part of the problem. I know I was told this by a friend of mine who was from Japan, and he was saying that one of the biggest issues is the fact that Westerners don't understand the difference between public property and private. And that like when you're out in the open, there's a certain there's a certain propriety that you have to maintain in public.
It's true.
And most Westerners don't know what that is.
It's true.
And so I think he was saying this was 15, 20 years ago. So I can only imagine it's gotten worse since then.
Yeah, it's true. That is the case. And, like with our son being over there at the university, he's kind of fully immersed in the scene. And so, the moment that we landed, he had all the rules. He was jacking us up on, you can't do this, you can't say that, blah, blah, blah. On the subway, you can't ... So he was all over it. And he was kind of like enjoying it to some degree, being all over it. So good on him.
It's a nice position to put a young man into, is to be like, not just put them in a position to control the culture around him, but then have people that are respectful of that and allow themselves to be controlled by that area, right? Like it gives them that win of just like, okay, yeah, you're in charge. Cool. Tell me where to go, how to do this. What do you want to do?
Yeah, but he's young, and so like he maybe overplayed his hand a couple of times. So
telling his old man this, hey, like give him a little like, okay,
yeah, actually at one point Evan looked back and said, "Oh, that's like you're talking to dad, not someone else."
and be a little circumspect on that last little introduction. I love it. So, and well, I guess the other thing I want to know is you traveled quite a bit up and down the country, right? In Vietnam and in Japan, you guys were moving quite often. Would you say that is, I guess, easy, for lack of a better term? I can't think of, but like, is it more accessible for the average person if they went to Vietnam or Japan to just zip around a little bit more? I know here in Alberta, I was just talking to Sam, and he was like, there's so much space, and you just go, like, it takes you hours to get anywhere. And I'm like, that's Alberta especially, but Canada as a whole. And I imagine over there, it's like a couple of hours, you're in totally different cities.
Yeah, you can be for sure. So we were gone for 9 weeks, and in Japan, we were in 3 different cities, Toyama, Takayama, and Tokyo. But in Vietnam, we were in a number of different locations. Some we were there for 10 days, some we were there for 5 days, and some just for 3 days kind of thing. So what isn't common, perhaps, or as common in Vietnam is we would go there and stay about a week at each location. But a lot of travelers will try to, like, they're on tours, and the tour takes them to a town. They're there for 24 to 36 hours. And in that time, they'll hit like 2 massive tours, and they'll kind of quote unquote see the town. But really, they're just being whipped through the town, like, and not really getting a good sense of things. They're taking a lot of photos, they're seeing a lot of things, but it's not, I don't think it's registering like how we like to do it, is embed ourselves into the community to some degree, so that by day 3, 4, you're nodding at someone because they've just nodded back at you, because they recognize you, because, you're making your mark in the community. So I like traveling that way. Like becoming a part of the neighborhood to some degree. But that isn't that common in Vietnam right now. It's a lot of almost hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, just doing towns in 2 to 3 days, no more than 3 days.
Do you think that I'm kind of stealing the show because I'm really curious about the trip, but I want to ask anybody, the guys that are out there watching right now, if you have any questions for Shaun or myself about the break or the time off, by all means, put them in the comment section. We can hit those and get those answered right away. But my question to you on this is that, do you think it's possible to really, like, could you see the country? Could you feel the country? Could you feel the culture on one of those tours? Or do you think it's just not possible with the rate of speed that they're going to really get a sense of that culture? I mean, if you tried really hard, do you think it would be possible, or is it just not?
I think, maybe a seasoned traveler for sure can, but I don't think tours. We did a couple when we were out there, and I guess because we're seasoned travelers, we don't get kind of caught up in the follow the yellow umbrella mentality. Like, as the tour is moving, I'm disconnected from the tour. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm taking the photos that I want to take. I'm seeing what I want to see. I'm experiencing it how I want to, while at the same time kind of following along with the tour, most of the time listening, but not being so connected to the tour that the tour is the experience. I'm there for kind of the moment rather than a tour guide. And so for us, I think for Doreen and myself, we're not like typically tour people, but they do have their benefits. And so when I do them, I'm in them, but not fully in them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I find myself in a similar boat. I'm not a big follow the follow the person telling you all the stuff. Like, oh, here's this and here's that. I just want to walk and read and look and view and kind of absorb whenever we go to places. But my wife really likes the tours.
And again, they can be good for sure.
Yeah. Well, one thing we did find was especially for us at least, is that if you go off the beaten path, like if you get away from all of the touristy stuff, there are still good. We did one in Mexico. It took us on a go-kart ride, and like we thought it was just going to be like a little trip around the city, like, oh yay, hurrah, they're going to point out stuff as we went. And no, we jumped in like dune buggies, and we were out into the bush in the middle of nowhere, driving up this river, hit a small tequila plant and tasted tequila for a while, and then an off the road little restaurant that gave us the best fajitas I've ever had in my life. Surprisingly enough, didn't get sick. We did another tour in Mexico on like one of the big ships that takes you to a certain place and lets you snorkel all over the place, and we ate there, and that's where we got sick. But like, getting off of that beaten track, you can still find some really cool stuff without having to do the yellow umbrella thing, which is, I love that you bring that up, because it's just such a great way to describe it, the yellow umbrella.
Yeah, well, so I was under the ramen umbrella while we're in Japan, and so I was in my acupuncturist yesterday, and she asked me, like, did you get any good ramen? I said, oh yeah, I was on the ramen trail because I got lucky, went into a ramen shop called Ramen Asakan, and the dude is like legendary, apparently world famous, because he's so like super nerdy about his ramen. He's like a foodie kind of order of magnitude mad scientist ramenist. And so, kind of chowed down at his location, took some photos while I was in there, got some pretty good photos, DM'd them to him. We became kind of like ramen BFFs. And so he put me onto the next guy in the next town, and that guy was super legit. And so he put me onto the next guy. So kind of like just did the ramen trail through the ramen Jedi masters. And those kind of things to me are the fun side quest things.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any intention of connecting the ramen Jedis, but it became a thing. And so I let it unfold, and I was enjoying it as it unfolded. And so, the thing that didn't exist before the trip, all of a sudden I was like bolting on Jedi masters at the back end, because I wanted to get my little Jedi train going,
I love it, because when you said side quests, that's when I play games that are like adventure style games, that's all I do. I'll start the main quest, and then I'm like, okay, left turn, I'm going over here, and then I just start exploring, doing those little side quests to get all the cool stuff. But the neat part is it mirrors life in the fact that you find all the cool stuff off on those side quests. You don't.
Sure.
If you're just trying to do the main quest in life and like, I'm going to work every day for the rest of my life, well, you're not going to get any of the cool things. Can't say like you're not going to see any of those cool things. But yeah, I love that. That's I'm glad you were able to hit all those spots, and I'm going to be going back through your Instagram stuff, because I haven't seen a lot of that last chunk of trip. I just had to turn my phone off, but I'm excited. That's why I have so many questions, because like, I haven't been watching you as you've been going through. What do you think was your favorite part about it? What was your like, one thing that like still makes you smile or giggle, or what do you got?
I think that because we've traveled a fair bit through Southeast Asia, there's nothing that was really so alien about it that culturally or historically it wasn't so at odds with stuff that we've seen in the past, that it felt like wow, this is just tripping me out because it's so alien. So that wasn't really an impact. What did impact me, and still will for some time, and it's a tendency to look more deeply into Shintoism and Zen ism. And so more correctly, perhaps looking more deeply at ancient wisdom from that region. And so just some key warriors and philosophers. If we were in a town, I was looking at the history of the town and who was notable from that town, or in a restaurant, if it was going back X amount of generations, what could that have been tied to, etc. And so trying to draw the most historical wisdom out of a place was interesting to me on the day to day. And I feel like I came away richer for it because I feel like I thought about things more deeply than I typically would. So it was good from that sense, for sure.
That's awesome. It reminds me, I remember seeing a documentary at one point about a particular it's a little B&B. I don't know where in Japan, but it's like been around since like 700 AD or something like that. And it's still family run. It's like the 18th generation or something like that that still runs it. And there's a lot of I was going to say family expectation to kind of carry on the legacy of prior generations. But that legacy is so ingrained in that culture versus here that like we don't have a lot of those mom and pop shops that have been around for 5 or 6, 7 generations. The country's just not like old enough to handle that, and we don't have the cultural background to push that idea. But Japan, especially, their culture is built around that, the expectation of that
Really
next
is.
generation, right? So
Yeah, I mean, when in our not this trip, but our trip before to Japan, we stayed at a ryokan, and so that it has like an onsen, or it's like a spa inside, and then kind of set meals. You stay overnight, and typically they have history behind them. And so this one that we stayed in was up at the Nakasendo Trail, so kind of the samurai trail. And the place that we stayed in had, again, multi generations, going back 12 or 13 generations. And so the kind of the founding members of this ryokan would have been serving samurai as they stopped along the trail with the royal entourage. And so, like, there I was standing in the onsen with my hands on my hips, and I was just thinking, like, looking out across the valley, thinking, this freaking samurai's in this ryokan tonight. Just, like, whatever you want to do with the moment. And I was playing it like, okay, new samurai in town. And trying to connect to, like, for real, trying to connect to the previous generations of warriors that had come through that way, and wondering, what they would have been looking at as they stood in that exact same spot, looking out on that valley, what was going through their minds at the time. I find it interesting that history that is tangible, sort of wisdom-based history, can be almost geolocated or geo-locked to a precise location, and you can go stand on it and maybe not experience the fullness of it, but try to connect with the moment in a way that is difficult to do in Canada.
There's a way, there's a point of osmosis. I find that's I guess the word I want to use for it. But like, I go to Head Smash and Buffalo Jump down in South Florida, and there is an osmosis to being out on those hills.
I agree.
The time to really register it. But you're right, in most of Canada, there's not a lot of old enough places in the Western ideal, or the Western idea, to really do that. I found Kingston was another place I was able to do that, because it's old town. But there are certain places that have that historical, I can't think of the word for it right now, but there's a concentration there of history. And if you can attune to it right, there's a little bit of osmosis that you can absorb, a little piece of.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, one of the interesting things when we were in Takayama, there's a guy, quite a well-known philosopher called Teishu, and I have his book up on my bookshelf. And his whole thing was the art of no sword, the state of no mind.
Right. Yep.
Right. And so basically, once I realized that, I went for a walkabout, and so I retraced where he would do this or where he did that, and kind of tried to stand on those same grounds and look around the train and sort of feel maybe what he was feeling, because I am of the opinion, and I know it's not a common opinion, but I would like it to be more common. I'm of the opinion that there should be nothing in our minds that separate us from, maybe a great philosopher in the past. I think like we can all hold ourselves back or hold ourselves down by thinking, well, that's only great philosophers that can think that way. I think, you've kind of got to get after it to some degree and believe that it's not an exclusive club. And so that's what I was doing over there, was walking around trying to think outside of my own little box, as it were, by following someone else's footsteps who were legendary to some degree.
I like that. I put a post out. I shared a reel from a guy that I kind of like watching, that I follow. And it was about sacrifice, in that a lot of people envision that they want to or would make the grand gesture, the major sacrifice, the diving in front of a bullet, the assaulting Normandy on the beaches, that kind of thing, where they would be there for that moment, like, I'm going to do the thing. But in reality, the sacrifices are all around us, and they're little pieces.
They're so little.
Yeah. And that's what makes you ready for those big moments. Whereas
that's precisely it.
And I think that by taking the time, like you're saying, to seek out the same places that these people have been, the same seeking out the same thought patterns that these people were, it gives you that. Obviously, you have to sacrifice time on your trip. You got to sacrifice time with your wife. You got to sacrifice time eating ramen in order to go do these things, to go to those places, to absorb that energy, to then bring it forward to today, rather than just leaving.
That's right.
And
that's right.
It's just such a great thing to do in everyday life, to take those little sacrifices to get to those places, to do those things.
You might not have seen it because you weren't fully tracking social media, but at one point I was in a museum. We went to 2 museums. We went to 3, sorry, but the biggest one was the Tokyo National Museum, which was bonkers big, huge, humongous. But we went to another smaller museum, and that one was predominantly swords. And so I spent nearly half an hour standing in front of Miyamoto Musashi's sword, and like the one that he actually used, which I never, ever thought that I would be standing in front of. That's just like, that broke my little brain because it was unexpected. And, maybe the luck of walking through that museum and then unexpectedly seeing, are you even kidding me right now? What the hell, bro? When that happened, it was remarkable to be able to stand in front of that sword. So yeah, cool to sort of wander around in the culture and the history of a place intentionally, visiting actual museums and events and sort of locations that have history. Yeah.
I love going to places that have history. That is one of my, I don't know, I was going to say guilty pleasure, but it's not that guilty. It is one of the pleasures in life, and in places that have history. My wife and I are planning a trip to the UK at some point, probably next 5 or 6 years. And that's she's going to take me around. She has family out there, and she's like, we're going to go see like all the little villages and all the little historical spaces and all the little things. And I was like, good. We don't have to deal with any sort of tourism, tourist centric places. We can just go there on our own and do our own thing. And it's going to be sweet once we get out there.
I love going to museums. I said 3, but that was just in Japan. I think in Vietnam, we went to another 6 or 7 easily. So, and we double digit locations like that. And I love walking through those things,
Mhm.
man. Like just even the oddest little things will catch my attention. That'll be it for me. Then I'm down the rabbit hole of maybe even chat GPTing right in front of the statue of the day. You know what I mean? For real.
My wife and I and the boys, the whole family, we were at BC's, like UBC Anthropology
Oh yeah.
Museum. That's like right on the cliffside on the out in Vancouver. Anyway, and we walked through there, and yeah, it was amazing. I was doing the same thing. I would like wander over to one of the boats and be like, "What are they using to tie this with?" And like, I was at one point, I was almost underneath one of the canoes trying to figure out where
Yeah.
the seam was and how they put it together. But I do love a good museum, man. Those are when done well, they can be
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Well, so, there was maybe the best museum out of all of them was the Tokyo National Museum. And for 2 reasons, it was the best because it was a massive collection, but the lighting in there was like impeccable. So when you look at any of the displays as a photographer, like the reflections were controlled and the lighting was such that
Mhm.
I got like some amazing photos from inside there. But other museums that we've been to, a nice piece will be behind a piece of scratched up plexiglass, and the lighting on it is just like bonkers bad. And so, museums for me are a sort of fascinating look at history, but I'm also in there taking photos. So there's almost a double event going on, as if you will.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where the pre-thought is a big deal, right? Like a lot of museums just have stuff behind glass, and
Yeah,
it's lit and it's nice and like it's for viewing, obviously, but they don't take into the fact that the photography requires certain things. But it's nice to see that. I mean, the Japanese, I would expect to
oh, they nailed it. Yeah,
take that
yeah.
into their thought process. That's
Yeah, we went to a kind of fairly well-known in the world glass museum in Toyama,
mm.
and yeah, just some spectacular pieces, and lighting again was next level. So yeah,
I wonder how much of this also applies to the fact that anybody that takes the time, that sacrifices a little bit to understand the depth that people go to create that experience for others,
mm,
right? And I think that is part of it because if you didn't know and you didn't care and you just wandered through that museum and like, wow, cool, this is neat, yeah, sweet, and taking a bunch of photos with your phone without really processing it, you're not showing the respect that I would say is deserved to the people that took the time to create the lighting to make sure that it works for
sure.
photography. You know what I mean? So there's a personal responsibility there, a little bit of.
And I think a lot of it comes down to context because we've been to a lot of major museums throughout the world, the Louvre, and whatever. We've been to a lot of museums,
Mhm.
and some of them, some world famous museums, do it well, and some do it not that great. But I think you've got to go to enough of them, like 20, 30 museums maybe, to get context as to how you like your museums.
Yeah.
So it's, if it's a person's first or second time into a museum and they're not digging it, maybe it's just because they haven't figured out what in museums are for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you have to have some interest in being there, obviously, right? Like if you don't really care about paleontology in any way and you go to the Terrell Museum, it's not going to be really
That's
all that
right.
exciting, right? So, but if you have an interest in dinosaurs in any way and you go there, then it becomes a different.
Yeah. And I think that's a great museum.
Oh, I love the Terrell.
Yeah, for
We've
sure.
been there since the boys have been born. We've probably been there half a dozen times.
Mm,
I know I've been there a dozen times before that, and I just love going there. It's such a great museum and walking the hoodoos, and
yeah, for sure.
it's friggin' amazing. Quick comment. Dan C jumped in here. He said, "That's what I love about that area of the world. I was blessed by a monk in Indonesia, and then later observed prayers at the Snake Temple in Penang. Amazing culture, yeah. And I think one of the things that always piques my interest about Asia is the fact that they have such distinct cultures in and of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I find the Western world kind of, because it's so blended, it's kind of like
it's
not
a bit homogenous.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like I could go to the East Coast and experience that culture, but it's not going to be that different from Alberta. I mean, it's going to be different, but it's not going to be alien.
Yeah, not to the degree that you'd notice in Asia, of course.
Yeah, but being that Asia is very small, I mean, it's wide in area, but a lot of that is taken up by the ocean. But there's a lot of small cultures with their own very distinct cultures right next to another very distinct culture right next to another one, etc.
You know, I think a lot of it is because of the depth of that isolation. So a culture or a tribe or a clan will be doing their own thing for multi-generations and then would meet another clan or another, tribe, and there might be some blending, but there'd been some depth created over quite a long period of time.
Right.
So that the distinction or the distinctiveness of a particular cultural identity would be long formed, would be almost hard cast. But over in North America, I mean, we're like 2 generation, maybe 3 generation kind of thing. And so there isn't that long, hard casting process to have sort of a family unit identity or a cognitive signature. This is what we're all about.
Yeah. And we don't prescribe to tribalism as much here as well.
That's correct.
Not a big part of our history. So I mean, I was just thinking about it in the fact that I'm a 4th generation Albertan. My boys are 5th generation Albertans, but their experience is going to be very different than mine because I grew up in a different area of the land. I grew up with different people involved, and their experience is not going to be the same as mine. So,
well, no, I mean, like they're growing up in the big city, and right then and there, it's like that strips out a certain amount of Alberta-ness,
Yeah. The frontier is no longer a place, right? Like you have to seek out and then pay for the frontier now. You can't just go out and do it.
That's right.
Which is an interesting aspect of our lives. But I do have another question for you that I want to touch on because I want to go back to this. You were saying that you are looking into Shintoism and that I'm not going to say belief structure, but like that philosophical structure, I guess. It caught my interest because my psychologist told me to start researching Taoism because apparently a lot of my thoughts about life are very similar to Taoism as a whole, and sort of my philosophy kind of aligns with that. So she was like, "You should go check these guys out." So that's set me on a bit of a road down there. What was it about Shintoism that like caught your eye, caught your mind?
Yeah, I think it was visiting at the Emperor Meiji's shrine. That shrine is quite popular throughout the world. It gets a lot of visitors. I think upwards of 3 million visitors visit the shrine in the first few days of the year, New Year's Day. And so the forest around the shrine was built or planted just over 100,000 trees by volunteers all through Japan and Taiwan. And so there's like this entire ecosphere of, I think it was like nearly 240 different varieties of trees are planted on this massive piece of land all around the shrine on the edge of, or what used to be the edge of Tokyo. And so it's like it's its own self-sustaining ecosphere of just like some beautiful trees. And so stepping out of the city, I'll call it stepping out of the city, getting off the subway, going down the busy streets, and then like starting to enter the forest and then getting closer to the shrine, like it felt like I was back in the mountains. And that piece, that sort of the sizzle, the background sizzle was much reduced, and like I was breathing differently. I felt more open and more alive to some degree in that forest. And so I was kind of curious as to why I was getting that vibe. And so started expanding on the idea of Shintoism, and so down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I find it fascinating, especially Eastern, a lot of Eastern ideas, a lot of Eastern philosophies kind of stem around the way, right? Taoism and that kind of stuff. So that there's an ideal that we can all follow. And actually, Sam and I were just talking about this as well. We got into a not so much a religious discussion, but we were discussing it anyway. But there's a lot of good philosophy in a lot of different places that is all very similar,
for sure,
but not the same. So I really enjoy a lot of Eastern philosophies for that ideal, is the fact that it's not about people, it's about ideas, I think, more than anything. And that's
so what I was looking at, with the Shintoism at the time, just thinking about it, mostly I prefer to categorize myself as more Zen than Shinto, for sure. Like, I'm more of an internal sort of operator, if you will, mindset and all that good stuff. But Shintoism is a little bit more external, the connecting to the external world, connecting to that river, to that tree, to that, etc. Whereas Zen is connecting to the idea of the tree inside of you, kind of that whole thing. And so, I think hybridizing the two is reasonably ideal if I'm just sticking to Eastern philosophies or Eastern wisdom practices. Shintoism and Zen is kind of my jam.
I find it fascinating because it's so, I think, maybe so different than what we grew up with. I think that's one of the things that kind of piques our interest. But yeah, I dig it. I think that, I guess the question that I have on this then is, would you do anything differently? Do you think that like the trip, the way it is, the connections that you made, the people you talked to, all that stuff, was there anything in there that you look back on like, that wasn't a great decision?
No, that, there might be tiny little things that are, they're inconsequential. They're just they're things that are outcomes of many days unfolding out on the road. But there's nothing that I regret. All of my decisions were good decisions based on I was doing my best at the time. And so the one thing that I do question, though, of course, is only a few days into the vacation, deciding that it was mandatory that I write a book. And so, like, that was just a friggin' ridiculous decision. And when it flashed into my head that, oh man, I think I'm going to have to write this book that's going to have to come out before the Warrior in the Garden book, because it's something that has to precede it. When that idea popped into my head, like, I punched forward into the future, forecasting what that would cost me, about 500 hours of writing. And so then I started doing the math on where I was going to get those 500 hours. And that was like mostly sleep. And so, like, most of my trip, I was only getting 3 to 4, maybe some max 5 hours of sleep in a night. And so, like, I was totally sleep deprived. Some nights I would just like push all the way through the night and not go to bed until like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. So, like, I went freaking bonkers hard. But, I'm going to look back on that in the future and shrug my shoulders and laugh and say, jeez, you're such an idiot.
That Shaun.
What a guy. And I'll do that for sure. But like, when I was in it, like when I was like hard charging on that book and like totally sleep deprived, I was not loving it at all. It was freaking hard. And not just hard psychologically, but cognitively. Like, it was such a bonkers burn rate trying to, write the next chapter that didn't exist yet in my head. And not really having much to work on, and, never having started with a master plan or a map, or, I see how this book's going to end, because I never saw how the book was going to end.
Yep.
And so, like, it's different than writing a biography or a history book or a science fiction novel or whatever. I mean, these are things that I'm talking about have like tangible impact on people, and like, I've got to be careful. And so, when you're writing into the void, and you're not sure what that should be about. Like there's some nights there that were kind of dark.
A little sketchy, it's funny, the process in which we explore ourselves, I find, is interesting. And like that was a way for you to explore yourself. And it reminds me of, I don't know how many times you said that, when I wrote my first book, I said I was never going to write another one, and now you're writing two. So like I find it hilarious.
Yeah, well, like when I was writing this one out on vacation, when the idea came to me, I thought, oh man, I think I'm going to have to do this. At the same time, I was also saying, oh man, I do not want to do this. I know what this is going to cost. This is going to suck so bad.
Yeah.
But, like what I would regret years from now is if I hadn't have written it, if I hadn't have tried. That would just drive me screwy. But small price to pay, and it's behind me now mostly. So there's that.
Would there be a point that you said, no, this isn't going to work?
Oh yeah.
and I mean, and then actively like, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to do it when I get home and just put it aside. Was there a point or is there a point in your mind that you could have done that?
Oh, lots of times. Yeah. There's so many times that I almost walked away from it.
Yeah.
Like just a hair close to like, that's it. I'm done. This is too much. I took on too much.
Yeah. But but I guess the question that's boggling, because I can see you thinking about that, but I can't see you ever stopping.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm wondering if there would be any situation or scenario where you would go, okay, that's not working, and I gotta like if Doreen woke up and was like, you need to stop that right now. Or
she did.
Nice. Okay.
No. Like, just no. That's not how I am. That's not who I am.
That's
yeah.
what I mean.
Once I paint something with a laser designator, that's it.
Yeah,
it's done. It's painted.
Go time. We're not leaving until.
Yeah, and like it's just a matter of how freaking hard it's going to be and how long it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And so it was hard and it was long and it stung. And I am not disappointed.
Oh my goodness. Phrasing we got to look out for. Anyway, it looked like, from what I saw, I didn't see a whole lot of it, but it looked like you had a good time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I guess the last question I have is on The Boys. Is that, what was it like watching Keegan kind of be in his own, like kind of creating his own world in real time?
Yeah, it was super cool. Like he's grown up so much just in the short period of time that he's been over there. Like it feels like he's grown up a lot. And so that was good to see, like a man. And of course he's communicating in restaurants in Japanese and, not perfectly, but well enough that like it's impressive. And so, it was good to see his competency and his confidence and his ability to move around in a foreign country and in a short period of time was really impressive.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I look forward to going back through your stuff and reading the captions that you've been putting out on stuff, because I know you're always quite thoughtful about what you put in there. Well, let's jump off the trip then. Let's talk about the collective. It's in 3 years. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, surprised we're still here. How do I feel? Yeah, I feel pretty good about things. I don't see things changing so significantly this year that it's concerning. I mean, we'll just keep doing it better, but I don't see it like being totally inverted or, shifted this way or that way so dramatically that it's hard to recognize. So, yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I'm quite pleased with where we are in the show itself, and I know there's definitely more work we could do in the social media world and all this other stuff, but I'm quite happy with where we're at, what we talk about, who we talk to, all that good stuff. And
yeah,
I love it. Quick comment from Chris. He says, so balance isn't something I should seek advice for.
Yeah, that is a fact.
It's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, it's a running joke in my household, but that is so true.
It's a running joke between all of your friends as well.
It's so true. Yeah.
But
listen, like, okay, so I might not have balance nailed. So if anyone ever invites me to a symposium to talk about balance, it'd be a bit hypocritical if I'm if I'm up on the stage talking about it. But I all of that aside, like if I don't have amazing balance, I'm still like doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm putting out product. I'm like not crushing life, but I'm doing pretty good. And so that's a result of I don't have perfect balance. I'm always like maybe leaning forward into things a bit off balance. It's taken me places that maybe I wouldn't have gone if I was always trying to like be perfectly in balance,
So I just had a really neat image kind of pop into my head here, was the fact that I don't know if actual balance is something that we want.
Well, I don't.
And to the point though, was that what clicked in my head was that you need a counterbalance. Is that it's not about just because if you are completely balanced, that means there's nothing on the scales, right? That it is even. There's no movement in any way. But if you look at a sword, let's say, those things are balanced to the hit just in front of the hilt so that you can swing it properly, right? So you need a proper counterbalance on, say, a spear or something like that in order to be able to utilize it to its best extent for what it's built for. And I think that is more important to seek the counterbalance rather than to seek balance, if that makes sense. You track.
Give me a practical example.
So for me, I need to be physically active. I need to be doing something constructive in my life. But at the same time, if I am constantly doing this, which is what I used to do for many years, then I have no place to go back to. I have no home ground. I have no roots. I have nothing to hold myself in any one location. So I would jump from idea or task or research project or whatever to another. And I would just constantly be jumping because I would be leaning forward into whatever it was. And it wouldn't give me, I wouldn't have a counterbalance to really study the thing. I would just be able to gain a proficiency in it and then move something else. So it would always be kind of like hopping forward rather than being able to, say, reach for something with my own leg as a counterbalance.
That makes sense. And I think, so I just, not that I want to be careful, just all I will say is that what you just described can be like not the awesome way to live it.
Yeah.
But conversely, how you described it can also be the awesome way to do it if a person has worked on the kind of the strategy or the practical application of optimizing that. So hopping from this to this to this. Also, if someone in parallel can synthesize the this to this to this and not fall behind, like can stay with the rhythm of parallel processing, then okay, it's not a bad thing. But if someone doesn't have that parallel skill set, then something's going to fall behind, obviously.
Yes, I think that's a great way to look at it, and I think perhaps also the necessity to understand both sides of that, right? Like if you've lived in the same place your whole life, you can still learn about the world, but you're not going to experience the world. You can learn about it, but you're not going to experience it. But if you're constantly out amongst the world, jet setting from place to place to place, you never really understand home or roots, or you know what I mean? So like, I agree with you in that it has to be done with intention. Really, you got to choose to do it that way, and then go forward with your life and kind of see how it works at that time. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, and like none of it really matters unless you're pressure testing it somehow to see that what you believe is actually reality, and reality's tested through testing. So however you think things are unfolding, if you're doing regular tests of your system and the results are holding up to the pattern that you expect of, okay, I am leaning forward and I am doing this and the outcome matches my thoughts. And so, reality check, green light, bang, next bound. And so there has to be those tests involved, pressure tests.
I agree. And Dan C put out a question here, and I want to put it up here, but Sale jumped in here. Chris said perfectly imbalanced. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And then Dan C asked this question: what if imbalance is your balance? And I think to this question goes to your point, was that if it's not pressure tested, then you don't know if imbalance is your balance.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, everything needs context. And, we're throwing out labels or titles of perfectly imbalanced and balancing the balance, all these various things. At the end of the day, you can throw all the labels out the window and just ask yourself, how you doing? How you doing in life? How do you feel in life? Are you going in the direction that you said you would in life? Just simple little questions to kind of pressure test your own narrative through giving an actual answer. So, am I doing the thing I said I would? It's binary, yes or no. You have to give the answer in order to kind of pressure test yourself on these little narratives.
And not be afraid of what the answer tells you.
Yeah, well, the answer, like, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Oh, but there is.
No, there isn't. There isn't anything to be afraid of unless it is being built into something that it's not. Of course,
that's where I was going to go with it. Was the fact that there is something to fear if we fear it. Right? If we fear that answer, then, or if it's going to show us what we don't want to see.
Yeah, if it's tied to ego or fear, whatever the case is. Yeah, no one wants the answer. No one wants to ask the question to get the answer. But like I'm literally writing about it in this book, The High Fidelity Mind. Any high performer, for lack of a better term, we'll call it a high performer, just treats these kind of things as information, not as something to be ashamed of. So binary, yes or no, win or loss, whatever the case is, up or down, that's just information. It's not a moral indictment of a person. So one of the first things a person can do if they want to like start proceeding ahead at a rapid rate is stop calling it a failure and start calling it information.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I saw a video of Tony Robbins this morning, actually just before I saw Sam, who was talking about the fact that none of this is oh man, I had it and then I lost it. No, it's gone.
Gone.
Yep. But
it wasn't that good.
Wasn't that good. I'll probably, I think I have it saved, so I'll probably bring it up on a workshop show or something like that.
Yeah, there it is.
There. But yeah, I'm digging this, and I'm glad to see that we can, even after some months off, we can just kind of find our rhythm and carry on with conversations. And this is it's good. And I've noticed that you've woken up a little bit over the last hour or so.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I'd come from straight out of the book where I was burning the candle at both ends, starting off the podcast with, okay, which way is this going to go? But now I'm a little awake. So, yes,
falling back into it. I like it. The other question I have for you on the show is, where are we going? What are we doing year 4? What is your thoughts? What is your idea as to what's going to be happening over this next year?
Well, I haven't got a grand plan for it right now, but I will say that I do like this rhythm that we've got right now, and the rhythm that we've had for some time. So it's really just a matter of guests and topics, and then the rest is kind of taken care of. So guest and topic. Beyond that, I think the rest is pretty easy nowadays.
It really is. I personally want to expand the collective itself, and not just the show, but the people. I want to get more people involved in not just the like. I want to get more people pushing the collective as a whole, rather than, because I mean we have a lot of very separate voices, and we're all saying pretty much the same thing, but um, we're not joining together in order to create a general concept.
It's true.
And I think that that's what we need to do. I know year 2 was supposed to be the year of the collab, and then there was a lot of stuff that went on there. But I think year 4, for me at least, is going to be building people, in more people into this, because as much as I want to do all the work, which I don't, but as much as I love making the videos and love doing the show, I don't know social media as well as I would like. And I know there are lots of people out here who watch the show who would love to be involved and know social media quite well. So I'm this is my job, is to delegate. This is where my year 4 is going to be, is to start pointing fingers and being like, hey, I need your help. Let's get this sorted.
But, you know, don't undersell yourself, because like both of us have come a fairly long way in social media, I would say. I know I have anyway, because I suck so bad. It was like a whole new definition of suck. But now I've got some skills with the Z, and so I'm pretty pleased about that. But so have you, of course.
Yeah.
So don't undersell yourself.
And I don't mean to, but I appreciate the check on that. One of the challenges while I've been in this impressive episode is like, there were many a time that I wanted to commit digital suicide, right? And just like turn the internet off. I don't want to deal with any of the stuff. I don't want to deal with any of the things, and I can make it all disappear and never have to think about it again.
Super lame.
And it is. And it was through that, through those dark conversations with myself, that I had to really go, okay, well, what am I doing here? What am I actually doing here? Why am I continuing the social media game? What is it that I'm getting out of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I started to realize that through the what's the word for it? I guess complacency of skill set. So like once you get pretty good at something, and then it just becomes rote, and then it becomes doldrum, and then it becomes every day, and then it just becomes dull, and then it becomes homework. And without the desire to do social media better, or perhaps understanding where my priorities need to be when it comes to social media, or comes to the show, or comes to doing the clips and the videos and all that stuff, and understanding how that priority plays into what it is I want out of social media, what I'm getting out of it, that kind of stuff. So my priorities haven't so much changed, as been updated, which is helpful now that I have a roadmap now. At least this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go, and I'm gonna build it out from there. Whereas before, it was just kind of, I want to do better, kind of a like there was nothing specific that I needed to hit on.
Well, like that's better than not having a statement of I want to do better. I think wanting to do better is kind of enough for quite a while.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should build the corporate phrase like in month 1 and repeat it like it's a religion. I think just doing your best every day for quite a while can take you pretty far. And so, 3 years of that is taking you pretty far. Yeah. And if you've created something more of a formal roadmap to some degree, then that's also good. But, for anyone who's listening, don't get it twisted. A pretty damn good plan is like, I'm going to kick ass every day for the next year and a half, and let's see where that goes.
100%. I was going to carry on with this, that the reason that I was able to see the roadmap now is the fact that I have spent the last, I was doing the math on this, but like I've been doing social media for 10 plus years now. That like I've been diving, I can't say diving into it, but trying my best. And that was the challenge, was that I had no roadmap. I had a whole bunch of different information that I didn't have anything to amalgamate them into. And so now that I have a general plan, now I can start divvying up tasks and start breaking it down into an orbit and start handing it off to people. That's the plan for this year going forward for me, because I want to keep the standard of the show obviously extremely high, and I want to keep getting better at the clips and the editing and so on and so forth, which is going to take time. And then I'm going to have to take the social media and be like, here, somebody else can help me with this, because I'm not very good at it. I'm not the best as I could be at it, let's put it that way.
Maybe you're not the best, but you're good enough, that's for sure. I mean, if there's improvement, then great. But if there was zero improvement, I think it's really good. I don't think it needs to improve, to be honest. Improvement is great, but I don't think it needs to.
Well, it's going to be an interesting year, because I have some ideas as to what I want to do, where I want to go with this. And I got 4 pages of notes from people that I've picked their brain for a while. And I've sat and chatted with 3 separate AI programs kind of all at the same time, and given myself a better picture of what I want to do with not just the collective, but like social media in general, as well as podcasting and video editing and all these things that I now do that I didn't do 4 or 5 years ago. So I think this is it's been a very eye-opening couple of months. Even though they've been challenging, it's been eye-opening because it's really forced me to hammer down on my whys. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why am I here? Why am I there? Et cetera, et cetera. So it's been quite helpful. And I mean, it's only been 3 days since I came out of the darkest day that I had was on Tuesday. So I'm on the upslope, but I'm still got some work to do to get back to normal.
So it sounds like you've been working. That's good. You know,
this is the challenge. And I wanted to bring this up. So I'm glad you mentioned this, was the fact that working doesn't always create physical outcomes in the immediate work, right? This is where I would start to struggle, was that I would sit down at the computer and be like, okay, now I need to get this, and I started listing off my executables, and I got to have et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But because there was nothing behind that, I didn't have an understanding of a good understanding of why I needed to get those things out. That created a dissonance, which created anxiety, which escalated, or can't think of the direction right now, but made the depression worse, which made it harder to do the work, which made me beat up on myself more, which created a very negative cycle, until I took the time and said, wait a second, shut off all the noise, sit down with your kids, be a human being for a little while. The internet can wait. And that helped a lot, because it gave me some free space to just process, which is what I needed. And that processing time was required. And I wasn't giving myself that time to process anything. I was just constantly trying to fill it with physical executables, the things that you can do. So I wanted to make sure that the people out there don't get it too twisted in the fact that the work isn't always physical. Sometimes it's just sitting on the couch and processing your life, or sitting at the table.
Sure.
Right on. So I do want to ask the people watching, though, what do you guys want to see? What is it you want from the collective in the next year? Because that's what has built the collective so far, and it's what it's going to continue to build the collective, is what you guys want. So hit us up in the comments, or shoot me a message afterwards, or whatever, but do let me know, or talk to Shaun. I'm sure he would love 100 DMs right now. It'd be perfect. I'm sure his brain can handle that.
I don't actually, I used to get so many DMs, but I don't get as many now. And I think that's been partly a process of me hammering home that stop sending me the cat memes. But yeah, I get less now than I used to, which is, I think, a good thing.
Yeah. I think that I'm starting to get more memes, so I'm telling people to like leave out the memes. I don't need any more of those. I got enough people sending me funny stuff. But if there is something specific, and I'm gonna tell everybody this now, if there is a particular video or something that you see online that sparks a thought that you want us to talk about or engage, share it with me. Send it to me. Put a little thought that you had on that thing, and then we can bring it into the show and we can talk about it and discuss that concept, because I'm always looking for new thoughts, new topics, new things to talk about, and I'm excited. I'm pretty stoked for this year. I think we're gonna do some pretty cool things.
Well, I'm interested in maybe you say topics. I'm interested in some new topics, kind of deviating away from all the standard issue leadership, discipline, all of that good stuff.
Yep.
Just something that is a unique, approach to the line of questions that we typically bump up to in any podcast.
Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be some neat stuff. I got some cool people lined up for the next little while, and Tyler Gray wants to come back on. We got some big name people that want to get back on. They got some good thoughts. I know I saw that comment from Seven Pillars the other day.
Oh yeah,
that I'm going to get him back on. Well, he was in the midst of, I think, writing and making a movie and doing all kinds of stuff. So good on him. He's out there doing the thing. And yeah, that's all the thoughts I got. Do you got any thoughts or questions or anything before we?
I didn't come in with any, and I'm not leaving with any unasked. So
sweet.
Yeah,
I like it. How's being back home? How's that? Because
I mean, I've got the freaking bonkers screen in front of me right now. It's massive. So I was writing a book, of course, on my 16-inch notebook, and I can tell without a mouse. And so, I've written on planes and trains and buses and airport terminals, on hotel beds, on hotel desks, on hotel floors. I've been writing this thing freaking everywhere. And it's all been on kind of a smallish screen, and I've had to do split screen, so kind of 8 inches here, 8 inches there for like a Word doc and an AI LLM. So like it has not been ideal at all. And so having the big screen now with a mouse, wow, feel like it's NASA right now.
Welcome to the talk. Here we are.
Yes.
All your stuff.
Wow, it's so good.
Yep. I do know what that's like. It's when I have to use a laptop or something like that, if we're out somewhere else, it drives me nuts because I want my mouse, I want my keyboard, I want my two screens and all my lighting and all the stuff. Like if I don't have that stuff, it makes it hard.
Yeah, like I mean, probably 500 hours of just like so not good setup.
Yeah.
Like hunched over in a crappy hotel room, like all hunchy McHunched, and just and then of course my Mark 1 eyeballs are going bonkified because I'm writing so many hours. And so then I buy I don't know if you saw the photo, but there were 90-cent reading glasses that slid over these glasses. I mean, the photo is just nuts. I mean, good thing I'm married, because there's no way anyone would touch me with a 10-foot pole with that photo. Dude, it's ridiculous. That's anyway, awesome. You have to go back a few weeks.
I'm gonna look at a few of them,
But yeah, I mean, like just every not great situation. And I mean, I'm formally trained to write. I mean, the Army taught me how to some degree. It's not that I haven't written anything before, but man, every situation just felt like I was up against it, so the book itself was freaking harder. And so now that I'm back here in my office, context is like, oh, it's, I've got a nice little setup here.
I'm wondering how long it's going to take you before you're back out on the bike.
Yeah, well, I almost went out today, but just I got busy riding and all that good stuff. So it'll probably be tomorrow now. I got to do some coffee roasting for people. They're already like jonesing on me, and I mean, what the hell?
This life that you have created for yourself now is hectic. Let's say that.
Dude,
You got a lot going on. Oh man, I love it. Well, I got nothing else. Oh, one question I wanted to ask you before we go is the photo contest.
Oh yeah,
we have to come up with a new topic. We're going to get Pat involved, obviously. And
didn't we come up with something? I thought it was like, wasn't it winter or wasn't it something like that?
I don't know if we actually like locked
wasn't it
in.
Wasn't it like freezing? Not freezing, but winter day or something like that.
That does ring a bell. I'm going to check over my notes.
Did you best hit Patty Boy up because I didn't write anything down.
What would you like to see in terms of the contest? Because
you know what, I think you should ask some of the key players there. Like Dave Curvin was all up in your grill here on the potty just a little bit ago, so I'd hit up Davey Boy and see what he thinks. From an end user perspective, that's a whole different thing than us three nerds in the inner circle trying to figure out what's best for next month's photo contest. So hit up the troops, see what's up.
I'll put a poll out then as soon as we're done here, and we'll get it out there.
Poll is one thing, but like just actually reaching out and grabbing Dave Curvin by the skinny and saying what's up.
I'll hit up at least 5 people today because there are some pretty standard, the people that standardly put in.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll hit them all up and see what we can find up.
I mean, Tyler jumped in here, and so I'd be hitting Tyler, see what's up.
Tyler and Dave Satch. I'm going to hit.
There it is.
Probably Dan C as well. He's been in here for
sure.
Agreed. And kind of go from there. We'll see what.
See what the end user wants.
Yeah, because that's what it's all about. I love it. Other than that, I got nothing else. If you're good to go, we can shut her down for the afternoon and
all right,
come back to it when both of us have some more sleep. Because I think we both need it.
Dude, I still feel cross-eyed.
I don't doubt it. You don't look cross-eyed.
That's good. I'm feeling it.
You look like you need a nap, though.
I need it all.
All right. Well, other than that, I got nothing. So I don't have a final line. I'm still working on that one for the next.
Wow. Here we go. It's going to be a half a year of frickin' already. The excuses are piling up on the first one. What the heck?
No. I have an idea. I just need to actually get my
list. Whatever. Move on. You know what?
See you next time.
Let's not drag out. Yeah, peace out. Chimo.
Thanks everybody for watching and being part of the collective. If this has sparked any thoughts or resonated with you, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us grow and keeps the conversation going. We'll see y'all next time.